Most people are deeply involved in exploiting animals. Deeply involved. I mean, I'm deeply involved in it. It's almost impossible to, in fact, it is impossible to live in a modern society and not be deeply involved in exploiting animals. No matter how much we try to avoid it, if we want to live in this society, it's almost shocking how much we have to participate in the exploitation of animals. So when you are telling people that non-human animals should have some kind of rights, what you're saying is that your world is going to have to change. We're kind of having a run-through now with respect to the issue of global warming. You know, people can have rock concerts or whatever they want to do against global warming, but the fact is, unless they change the way in which they live their lives, our world is going to change. So the reason that people have not wanted to accept the facts of global warming for so long is it means that they may have to eat differently, they may have to drive differently, they may have to travel differently, they may have to do lots of things differently in a way that they don't want to do. So they don't want to accept it until the facts just are thrown into their face or they start to fry. Well, with respect to non-human animals, the fact is that it's one thing to say, oh, I like animals, or animals, should have rights, or they shouldn't have rights. But the fact is they do have rights. That means that you are going to have to act differently toward them, the way you would have to act differently toward me, or the way people have to act differently towards humans who were slaves once they became free. Having rights means something, and it means that the master is going to lose some of his privileges. Masters don't like to lose privileges. They like to do what they want, which is why you get these struggles of epic proportions, always throughout history and now throughout the world. And that's why people don't like the idea of non-human animals having rights. There are people whose entire economic existence depends on the exploitation of animals. Why would they want to put themselves out of business? We have to put them out of business for them. The way that the slave traders went out of business, the way the cotton growers went out of business to the extent that they were involved with slaves, the way the slave sellers went out of business, the way the slave catchers went out of business. It's a whole business founded on gross immorality that happens to make people a lot of money. They're not going to put themselves out of business, but it's up to people who believe that what they're doing is fundamentally immoral to put pressure on them in every legal way they can to put them out of business. And so people, to the extent that people feel that they would have to change their lives, they may be hostile to the idea of non-human animals having rights. Anyone who exploits animals, is the master to some degree. I'm the master to some degree. Everyone's the master to some degree. I can go out and get myself a dog, and I literally am that dog's master in every sense of the word. But that's kind of a benign dictatorship, at least for most of us. But there are people who eat them, who wear them, who play with them. I mean, after they're dead, who use them in biomedical research. Those are the people, and whose lives revolve around profiting from the exploitation of non-human animals. And those are the masters who are going to fight the hardest. And the people who fight the hardest are the people with the most to lose, from a change in legal status.